Welcome to our webinar series of MARGISTAR. Today, our guest speaker is Hüseyin Büyütekin from University of Pristina. His presentation is about genetic heritage and sustainable futures and the role of sheep biodiversity in marginalized mountains in Kosovo. So the screen is yours, Hüseyin. Welcome again.
Thank you very much, and I'm really happy that I'm a part of the project, first of all. Secondly, I tried, since we discussed together several issues, and we emphasized quite a lot this holistic approach, how to support the mountains area. I thought that would be good to provide something which is helpful in this kind of cycle information system, considering transformation or marginalized mountains areas, and specifically on the healthy futures. So in this part, I thought that providing this presentation will be added value to the project deliverables and also to share the information with others regarding this issue. So let me just outline at the beginning the content of the presentations, my presentation for today. So I thought that I will start with the context and the purpose. I will mention some of the key concepts in terms of marginalized mountains and sheep biodiversity, then impact considering ecological, economic, and cultural, then threats and challenges we have to consider necessarily, strategies and interventions, policy, funding and research needs, case studies, roadmap, and conclusions. So in the following, I prepared for you and for the interested authors who might be interested to read my presentation later on, 3 tables which are pretty much the small project in itself. So the first has to deal with thematic areas and some of the constraints and problems that we are facing on this regard, not only in Kosovo, but I'm afraid all over the world, in some specific places more, and some specific countries less. We're all kind of facing depopulation and population aging in mountains areas, and this is a matter of fact. So in this regard, we are kind of losing the interest of youth people and shrinking labor forces. And for sure, in this context, we are losing the tradition in terms of implications and weakness of social needs. We are facing land abandonment. We are facing infrastructure market access problems and high ecological values if we implement this presentation. So I see Natalie joining the group, and hi Natalie, thank you very much for joining us. In terms of land abandonment, I'm telling a story in Kosovo by reducing grazing and farming activities. So something which we are losing biodiversity. In terms of infrastructure, we are facing poor road quality, vehicle chain, and unreliable power. And this is definitely sends to limitation effects on competitiveness and dairy or meat products. So high ecological value, we have to identify biodiversity hotspots and tension between livelihoods and other issues. So the second one, I was trying to provide some of the proposed intervention and action in this regard. So I thought that it might be a small project in itself. It could be implemented by ministry, by NGOs, or by all stakeholders together. For example, let's take something from the pasture side. So from the pasture sides, the level of how pastures are left abandoned and not improved, it's a need for the action. So in this regard, in the last column, third column, I thought that who could be a key actors to support this initiative. We'll start, for example, by improving the pastures which up to now are completely untouched, especially in mountains area, up to 50 hectares per village. For example, in the areas where our sheep, especially endangered sheep, one of them that we are now researching and working on this is Balusha sheep. And then rural product valorization hubs. So we have to provide some hubs and supporting cold storage unit to aggregate processed products from nearby villages. So who could support this? Several NGOs, different national and international organizations, municipality, and the government. We could support another issue, taking into account that it's quite important to have a holistic approach, not the fragmented chains, because fragmented chains or cutting parts within the one chain usually makes another obstacles, and the small fragmented project, although I might be successful, they don't reach the final goal. So we could support them in living in those remote villages by providing in three remote villages by providing solar power, mini grids, and battery storage. Then we could support different groups by providing employment for them as well, and increasing the tourism interest, something like 20 local eco guides integrating heritage sites and local guest houses. We could support youth returnees grants by supporting them with small pots of money to start some niche initiatives within the sheep biodiversity and conservation programs. For all this, I thought that I could be just a monitoring and framework objectives by starting at the 2025, that annual, let's say, population is decreasing by 2% in the last 5 years in those areas. And by 2028, we plan by our intervention, by small intervention in this regard, to have at least 1% annual growth. Then in the other side, to revitalize local economy, number of active farms of households 20, we could expect to have in 2028, so in 3-4 years time, to have 30 farms engaged in this regard. So far about the how to maintain biodiversity in meadows and pastures, up to now it's 0, and in 2028 we plan to have something like 150 hectares. Village with 24/7 renewable energy right now is 0. In some years' times to have at least 3 villages. Local value added agri products market, so far 5. In a short time to have 15. So far, I mentioned 5, like provide cheese, provide some meat, but old fashioned without any added value on itself. And annual cost could be ecotourist visits. And now we might have something like 800, but this number could be tripled or even more in a 3-4 years time. So why sheep matters in mountain system ecological and adaptive roles? So well, just by the picture that you have on you see in your screen, you can see that for centuries, maybe since humans worked on the domestication of animals and to live with them and share an ecosystem together, you can see that in these kind of harsh areas, you have to have sheep breeds or very adaptive animals to use and from where the humans can benefit cheese or meat from that part. So I'm telling you a story of Balusha sheep, one of the endangered sheep now considered by FAO standards, and other sheep as well, but this one is in critical situation considering with others. And they live in that area, and they are very well adapted to steep and harsh terrains. They have capacities of thick wool insulation, strong immunity, and seasonal breeding. So that links with other with tourism and with other economic and social impact as well. And those are very, very adapted to low input, high resilience in different systems. So it's easy for them to convert poor quality forage into protein, wool, and manure with minimal inputs. So they operate in circular ecological principles, nutrients, recycling through the grazing and manure. Climate smart agriculture is another aspect that why sheep should be kept and should be paid attention to keep those breeds in those areas. So they are specific to low emissions, energy efficiency, minimal housing needs. And in Kosovo, that promotes mountain zones, provides economic viability and food security under resources and scarce conditions. Another fact is landscape shaping. So landscape is and habitat formation. So grazing maintains some open pasture, preventing forest overgrowth. Then it supports biodiversity. They are very well known as pollinators and for endemic areas. Shapes cultural landscape with shepherd huts like Starnet, small houses where shepherds used to live, dry stone walls. And declining grazing leads to scarce and encroachment, biodiversity loss, and cultural erosions. So another issue, which is a very, very much and which links the importance of keeping this and conserve this sheep, in this case, is cultural heritage significance as well. So traditionally, the sheep's entrancements recognized. So they move from upland to lowlands during the winter or during the summertime. So that is something which has to be recognized and has to be used as a national capital, since in the mountains areas, only this kind of breeds or only this kind of animals can use the national capital, which you could consider in that terrain of these harsh areas, to transfer to something which could be used by humans, like milk or meat or wool products. Strategic role in sustainability is another impact. So ecological aspects is linked to erosion control, biodiversity conservation, and grassland maintenance. And another factor is economy, which is linked to high-value niche products like cheese, wool, and handicrafts specific for the mountains areas. It's another aspect that's very much linked to sustained community cohesion and tradition knowledge. And this is called for policy support, eco-certification, agri-environment payments, and market initiative, which means it has to be considered a holistic approach for all stakeholders to do their own job, to provide their own inputs in order to have a kind of a real success or to see success in this regard. How to understand and why is important this kind of diversity? So I don't want you to put to the technical things in terms of genetics on the conservation or genetic variation. But again, I want to show you that it refers to genetic variation within and among domestic sheep's breed. Very important part, not only for the sheep in itself, but for the whole environment and ecosystem in general. So local endangered breeds like Shari Balusha, those are the two breeds that I could consider that are more or less on a bad situation, are very much adopted to local climates, ecology, and culture. So they live with the people there since maybe in the same time when they started to support each other or domestication took place. And that serves as a biological archives and climate resilient genetic reservoirs. Another thing is that we are facing, and I will, during the presentation, I will tell you that we are facing some current rates according to the general FAO standards, where about 25% of global livestock breeds are at risk or extinctions, which and these kind of facts that those are facing risks and extinctions, it's a kind of ringing bell for all stakeholders how to support and how to maintain the biodiversity in mountains areas, specifically with this low production breeds, in this case sheep breeds in Kosovo mountains, but at the same time having other positive facts considering their existence there. So why conservation matters? So it's preserve adaptive potential for future livestock under climate change. This is pressure and feed scarcity. Essential for in situ conservation. In situ conservation, I'll tell you that I'm currently working in this breed in here. So sheep biodiversity is another fact. So if they are very adaptive traits to local breeds, so we have to work, we have to research, we have to support farmers and others in terms of identifying the most important traits or characteristics for maintaining sheep in this areas, like a disease, parasite resistance, feed and water efficiency, environment adoption, and biological insurance for future breeding and ecosystem stability. Another fact is that for sure those kind of breeds like Valusha, they cannot compete with high productive breeds which you can find all over the world. But they can compete, and they are much better effectively producing on the harsh environment, as I mentioned, in the mountains area where the other facts, migration, depopulation, young people are moving, and other facts are negative facts are happening there. So sheep could be added value to all this kind of holistic approach to maintain the mountains areas in a way how it should do, and be a national capital, and having an consideration all positive facts to develop it further. So this is a part of the policy and conservation imperative as well. And allow me just to show that that has also very much ecological impact as well. So beyond producing food or get food from the sheep in these areas, we are talking about how sheep sustain landscape biodiversity and ecosystem stability in upland areas like mountains of Shari, mountains of Rugova, and others which are considered as some mountains area in our case in Kosovo. Then they are key to ecological functions like grazing, mobility, manure deposition, which somehow they put in the cycle the economic viability and efficiency and a circular economy, which is the best formula for 21st century in terms of the best use of natural resources in this context. For sure, it supports the habitat and to maintain some of the endangered plants, which already, because they graze quite uniformly, and then provide a kind of preservation for those plants that are almost in danger. Habitat heterogeneity, grazing, of course, enhance ecological mosaic and specific coexistence. Another issue is that fuel loaded reduction and fire prevention. We are witnessing that last decade, all countries almost, they are having a problem with a fire, and how to prevent it is another issue. One of the reasons to have a very small but a very influential impact is also keeping sheep there, because this kind of huge raised uncontrolled grass for many years could be grazed by sheep. How to support it? It supports and how it supports soil fertility and nutrient cycling, as mentioned. It puts on the circular economy by using the organic way of producing, and that also supports directly the improvement of pasture and meadowlands in those areas. Pollination, integrative value as well, and policy sustainability implications like public ecological good and climate adoption and rural livelihoods improvement. So in this regard, we could consider that sheep management system equals to model of ecological and socio-economic resilience in Kosovo mountains. Another impact is cultural one. We are facing sometimes needs and necessary needs to put some efforts on the cultural heritage as well. So maintaining sheep in those areas could support traditional pastoral knowledge and instruments, as mentioned, because this is the seasonal way of supporting those areas, and that has to be recognized, and that has to be well practiced and preserved and supported. So another aspect is that sheep's husbandry shapes distinctive landscapes, local festivals, celebration, other heritages which are connected to the area and connected to the country, connected to the nations, and supporting in generally the whole ecosystem in Europe, probably. And maintaining local food traditions and artisanry. So some of the artisanry, some of those old traditions are almost gone. So that is we are losing each year, or maybe each month, something which is a part of the tradition, and not only here in Kosovo but all over, and that could be loss of heritage as well. Even some regards, we lose some traditions of food that might be put it into a new way of producing that could be with high value in all respects. So why is happening genetic erosion? So key aspects in this regard. We are facing genetic erosions from crossbreeding and intensification. Why is this problem? So as I mentioned, those old breeds and endangered breeds with a small numbers living in very harsh environment, that is a specific that they cannot compete in low land with, let's say, intensive production breeds, but they are perfect on the mountains areas, and in those areas are only those that they can survive, but not the intensive ones. So by putting another gene within inside those breeds, you lose the main traits, which is resistant to the harsh environment, and then in fact we might end up in some years with some places where no animals are around, just because we are kind of intensifying everything and not considering the environment and the ecosystem, entire ecosystem in one country or around the world. So we are facing then farm abandonment and labor shortages. Then we are having a lot of troubles in terms of market pressure favoring high yielded breeds. So as mentioned, for the facts, those are not for those areas. Climate change and forage alterations, and this impacts quite a lot in this segment. We have to provide another economic value in this regard. So we can, with all, let's say, limitation that I mentioned to the sheep breeds, old sheep breeds, Balusha sheep in these areas, we have to provide some high value niche and heritage products. So we have to work in that regard to support them, to keep them, not only because they love them, but because they have an economic and social impact by keeping sheep in those areas. So we have to provide direct to consumer and short supply chains. So this is another issue which supports them, because by them, in Kosovo case, in those mountains areas, The tourism is increasing quite a lot and very fast. So maybe this is the way why the Balusha sheep has survived without any support of other stakeholders, I would say, just because the tourists, they want to see in these small houses to see from where they want to take or want to eat the food. So considering this segment, we can jump to this opportunity and provide some other facts and some other supports in order to support not only the Balusha sheep, but the farmers and their economic livelihood, and the area as well, and mountains areas to be an integrated part of the Kosovo system. Agrotourism is another issue that we have to consider as a whole, not only very fragmented to food or to the hotel providers, but as an entire ecosystem. And so why is geographical indications and territorial basic marketing? It's another issue that we have to consider. So we considering how we could, or we have to consider how we can support them with other initiatives as well. So by providing more organized small farms like this in context of cooperatives, of local labeling foods, of traceability system, providing some insight of trainings on the quality food, or by providing some digital support, because nowadays we are talking about an issue which is very much supports the agriculture and any other initiative. So digital part is a very integrative part of almost everything. So what is relevant and how we could support them again? We have to link the small farms, in this case, sheep farms, in the mountains area by EU rural development programs and agri-environment schemes. So not only at the local level, municipal level or communal level, but also in the national level and EU level as well. We have to adopt the best examples and best policies to make them maintain those areas with their interest for living there, not only just to be temporarily and migrating from time to time from another part, just for small part of interest. So national breed conservation policies and handbooks is something which I'm working, and it's at the easiest part. But that could be combined with other or should be combined with other aspects as well. So this kind of overall policy's significance is linked to those instruments form a multi-level support framework aligning biodiversity, conservation, rural livelihood, cultural heritage, and preservation. So integrated use of EU national local tools strengthens long-term sustainability of endangered breeds in this fact, Balusha sheep. I don't want to mention in details, but I want to just mention that I'm working, and I think that we should be working and should be taken as an example conservation processes for endangered breeds. I'm working on a Balusha together, supported by Swiss project and very much by Ministry of Agriculture in Kosovo. So in this regard, what is in situ conservation? The best way of keeping them alive is to keep them on their area, in the place where they used to live for centuries. So we have to support them, and we have a concrete plan how to support them in 5 years' time to not be endangered according to FAO standards, but to be a normal population of one breed which contributes to farmers, to ecosystem, contributes to rural and mountains areas in entire holistic approach. So another situation, I would say, we have to consider, and I think Ministry has, starting from this year, it's a positive sign because they already created a group that will be dealing with these issues, how to subsidize the small breeds which are not maybe able to compete with high yielding animals, but they have other advantages which I already mentioned before in presentation. So we have to provide payment also indirectly for ecosystem services and stewardship schemes. So we will support community-based management and local seed herb banks, because under the system, we have to consider always that if something goes wrong, and in situ conservation doesn't allow us in the best manner to yield best results, we should be able to another part, which I wouldn't like to happen in this case to Balusha sheep, which is dealing then with ex situ situation or conservation. And then we have to consider more complicated process. It needs more time, which is dealing then with cryopreservation of germ plant like semen, embryos, oocytes, and so on and so forth. But I really believe that we won't go to this, because with some breeds, most of the breeds, in this case with Balusha, we are on the in situ conservation process, and we believe that will be better. So we have to support farmer network and knowledge exchange. So far, they do it very traditional based. It's very hard to change their way of how they are used to do farming, which we are not saying that we have to change everything. We have to keep their way how they do the farming. But in terms of food products, they have to change, and they have to kind of diversify their production. They have to provide more products according to the consumer and tourist needs on this mountains area. We have to engage more young farmers to see their economic interest to live in those areas. And this is you cannot achieve by yourself, or very fragmented interventions. You have to make it in a whole level, and providing national and international organizations, NGOs, touristic institutions, heritage institutions, and so on and so forth, with the aim to make the best contribution, a positive contribution to these areas by using some conservation processes, by using some improvements on sheep production, very adapted to the mountains areas. So we have to provide some, as mentioned, some training in terms of processing capacity for small-scale producers, because usually they are small-scale producers. They produce a small amount of food. In this case, meat or meat is very seasonal, but the cheeses or the wool, and they need this support. They need some intervention of technology like cold chain logistics solutions, and they need some support in terms of marketing platforms, e-commerce, cooperative sales, and that could support them on this regard. So targeted technicians assistance for mountain system. It's workshops on low input husbandry, product development, trying to support them by living in this part, producing some added value to economic, to social, to heritage, to diversification of products, and incorporating local knowledge into curricula for some young generation, for professional and vocational schools. Why not do agriculture faculties, so in a university level, by providing information in regard to ecosystem, entire ecosystem, how to maintain mountains areas as a national capital, how to support with other stakeholders in this regards, how to support with keeping animals there. So monitoring process is another issue. By concentrating on a breed population size, how it goes in the positive or negative way. So that is a fact, and what is an important fact. ecosystem service indicators, habitat extent, vegetation heterogeneity, socioeconomic outcomes by farm income, employment generation, rural population retention, and migration aspects. So kind of supporting people to stay there. And all impact is systematic monitoring and evaluation ensure that biodiversity conservation ecosystem serves as a rural livelihoods and are maintained and enhanced over the time. So in the research part, as I said, as a faculty of agriculture with colleagues from the Ministry of Education, we are already working on maintaining the main traits that Balusha sheep breed has for specific for that area. So to keep the resistance, anti-parasite, relevant production for harsh environment, and those that are the main traits that under the genetic improvements we try to keep over the time as we are working with them. Market research has to be to present the added value of those products on the organic and most, let's say, a bio way of producing those areas. Sociocultural studies on barriers to use the sheep and to examine motivation, perceptions, constraints, labor availability, youth engagement, traditions, and so on. So we have to provide sustainability. We consider that it's very important to have this approach like blended finance, public payments, plus private investment. A lot of private investments are all over. It means there are money from different investments, but they have to be sure how to invest and the way how to invest. So they don't have enough information why they should invest on preserving those breeds. So we should not rely only to the public funds because sometimes are limitations in this regard, but there should be searching for private investments and private initiatives through the group formation or cooperatives, farmer cooperatives, and which provides then private investments to the common interest by them. Microcredits by banks, payment, as I mentioned, for ecosystem services specific to this only for animals. So far, there is no in Kosovo a distinction or differences between payments for animals living in lower areas with high intensive potential capacity of production or in mountains area. And that is an impact that has to be a different way of addressing payment for the animals. So allow me just to mention two case studies, and I think for colleagues from the ministry, I will discuss with them as well, maybe next week. So I was there and I had the opportunity to visit this place. I'm talking about the Alpine region in northern Italy, specifically in the Trentino, South Tyrol areas, where there is an alpha goat, one sheep very, very resistant to the areas. What they did, the same, was a very endangered breed. Then intervention, holistic approach to this intervention, how to keep this breed, had real positive impact. So what they do a local shepherds cooperatives in the region producing artisan mountain cheese, which is very famous. And it was supported, when it started to produce, it was supported by all facts that I mentioned early in presentations. The products are kind of protected geographically indication PGEI, and linked to breeds, milk quality to the area. So this helped a lot. Another case study, which is for me is a good example, is also the Carpathian Balkan Mountains corridor, which is between Romania and Bulgaria. That's another breed living there, very specific and adapted to the areas, which are Turkan and Karakachan sheep. And the same, the farmers provided the local cooperatives and women's groups are now utilizing heritage wool and meat markets. So like providing different niche products, they are kind of not achieving only to keep alive the breed as a let's say, genetic resource and biodiversity, but also they are providing income for the places where the population is migrating very, very heavily. I had a plan how to do it in a let's say very short time, as an immediate step, in a short time, 2 to 4 years, in a little bit, let's say 4 to 6 years scaling time. What I'm doing right now with my colleagues and my team, we're working on a baseline survey about introducing herd book, how to maintain, how to start to keep alive this animal. And in 2 to 4 years, we have to work on a piloting payments by support of the government, by providing international and also local private investments to the areas with a main goal to keep alive this breed, but at the same time profiting from this breed. So that could support the local processing, short supply chains, and niche product development in general. In a scale or timing scale between 4 to 6 years, I necessarily consider that is important, that we have to work on a kind of be sure that we maintain the breed on a in situ conservation program, in just if something goes wrong. So this could support the area. In terms of policy recommendation, it's necessary to have integrated breed conservation into regional rural development plans, and to be part integrated, alive, and very progressive part of different strategic plans or different, let's say, rural development plans which are on the place within the country, within the municipal level, within NGO level, and others that they have to consider this part. Then to support very much shepherd livelihoods, we have tailored agri-environment payments. Then policy recommendation has to consider fund genetic banks, as I said, in case if something wrong, to maintain not only the Valusha sheep, which I'm studying right now and working on that, but also other animals, farm animals living in the mountains areas as well. So as overall impact, policy measures ensure long-term viability of local breeds, strengthen rural ecological and preserve cultural and ecological heritage in mountain regions. So as a conclusions, we have to maintain, we have to consider that endangered sheep breeds as strategic assets, and we have to work on this to preserve. And as a second one, we have to integration of biodiversity, ecosystem services, culture, and livelihoods to consider seriously and supporting not only the area, but providing economic support as well. So need for concrete actions. No, there is no time for talking and talking. Now it's need for concrete action in terms of effective conservation requires coordinated policies, market strategies, community engagement and research. Then multi-level collaboration ensures that endangered sheep breeds continue to produce ecological, economically, and cultural benefit, and that it's a supporting endangered sheep breeds is not just a livestock management. It's an initiative in resilient mountains ecosystem and sustainable rural futures. So by this, I do apologize. Maybe the presentation was longer than I thought, but I was thinking that to provide some insights from different lights, different spots from Kosovo perspective. Thank you very much, and I'm open for any kind of discussions and questions.
Thank you, Hussein, for your great presentation. And let's look if any of participants have questions for you. Do you have any questions to Hussein? I can start. If not, I can start and ask one question, Hussein.
Yes, please.
You mentioned being climate smart in terms of agriculture and animal, the sheep husbandry. So can you please open what's being climate smart in terms of agriculture, especially in sheep husbandry, and how this being climate smart will attract people to return the mountain regions or attract people to move to mountain regions? Is it enough or do we need to do something else? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Muhammad. Like sentence, climate smart or supporting climate changes, it's a big issue and is a fact of at least discussed among all stakeholders on 21st century. And considering my sheep now, Balusha sheep, maybe it's a drop of water in the sea. However, as I mentioned, every part, every segment in this context, also the climate smart, climate change initiatives has to have this holistic approach. Why sheep preservation and why sheep, let's say, farming could support the area there? I mentioned that the first fact I would say, they are very well known for uniformity during the grazing. So they maintain the biodiversity in terms of plants in this area. So by grazing uniformity, the let's say bad weeds, they cannot kill the good ones. The first step. So by keeping in biodiversity, we never know that we are the best in each let's say plant or animal or product exists. Secondly, as I mentioned, by not using animals there, especially sheep, because they're very well known for grazing uniformity, in many mountains areas close to the forest areas, the grass raised very high, and it's dry again, and again regenerates another year, and a lot of biomass it exists there. So fire is another issue. So Europe and each country in Europe during the summertime is facing this problem. One of the reasons is because a lot of biomass is present over there because there is no animal to graze. So they could have a direct and indirect impact in this context. And by using as well as a third one, which is, I would say, not the last one, I mentioned that by having animals there, in this case sheep, you put on the circular economy everything. So you put something which is during the grazing, it's manure there, it's organic one. You have a product. You don't use artificial fertilizer and so on and so forth. So you come to the point that with a small drop of water in the sea, you support also the climate smart or the climate positive engagement of society in supporting the climate changes as well.
Thank you, Hussein. And Fiona, go ahead.
Hello. Hello. So hi. So thank you very much. Very interesting talk. And actually, one of the reasons I joined was because touching on one of the topics that you just mentioned about the fires. I'm part of a local NGO here in Portugal, in the mountains, and we recently had very destructive fires in the mountains. And so this NGO now, they've decided to create actually to bring in some goats to try to do exactly what you are, Professor Hussein is talking about. So because they understand that there is a lot of dry grass and biomass, to hopefully create a population of local goats, which can then eat up and clear the grasses, which then feed the fires, and I just wondered if you knew of other attempts like this within Europe, and if these are somehow supported by either governmental structures or financing, or if you've heard that this is happening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm happy that you joined the webinar, and we're just talking for something which is as a scientific, as a professional approach, we can just do a little, one segment part. I believe that you agree with me. I do use this holistic approach. It's necessary. So all stakeholders, they have to do and to commit themselves to provide the best in order to kind of close the cycle and to see in a near or medium or long-term perspective the positive steps. So by keeping sheep there is only one segment, but it's necessary. So, and keeping animals there like sheep, goats, and maybe some cattle, you have to have into consideration that you should rely on all types, all varieties, all breeds, which are very, very resistant to harsh environment. Because it's the only way how you transfer a green grass into the white milk, white cheese, or white yogurt, or to red meat. So to provide the food, directly food for the humans from those areas, to use this natural capital in the mountains areas, you have to have kind of intermediate link, which in this case, I think all types which are adopted to those areas can provide the best. If you try to send, just copy paste, it is not keeping animals there. It's not matter of copy paste. See one very high productive breed, send there, but in fact you are facing another problem. They won't be adopted. They will decrease the production. They won't be as productive as they should be genetically, and other problems. So I think that it's a time that human has to consider the nature as a serious part of their livelihoods, as a serious part of their life. Humans, they cannot change everything in the nature by considering that they are the smartest in this environment, and then nature has to serve always for humans, and anyway, without considering how much or how uncareful are humans towards the nature. So by having a spot nature as this, we should think and find the solutions that are best for the existing ecosystem, and link it fragmented parts together, and supporting fragmented parts to be linked and perform as a unit part.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I think it's still at the start, so they know that they want the goats there to help with the fire protection, but then afterwards, how it will become sustainable in terms of utilizing the products is, I think it's it's evolving. We're talking about a small amount. They have about, I think, 20 now. So but let's see. Yeah, thank you so much.
Allow me just to tell one example. I don't know if still Natalie part of the webinar, or she is gone, but I just want to mention she's a expert.
No, I'm still here.
I'm happy to have you. I wanted to mention she's a specialist on the wool, and she's a vice president, if I'm not wrong, of the Wool Association, European Wool Association. She can tell more about herself, or perspective and professionalism. But what I want to say about, for example, 3 decades, 4 decades before, the sheep wool in Kosovo was a kind of industry. And used since the merino was developed with a high quality of wool, the wool price decreased rapidly. So what happened all over Kosovo now wool was not used because people ran after synthetic industrial things, using some synthetics from China or from elsewhere in the world, and they started to stop some making some crafts using a wool, even at the homemade production styles that they had before. So what happened? The wool turned to be an environment problem. So all sheep farmers, when shave their sheep, they put it in most of the cases a wool just on the lake or nearby some places, so that happened to be then environment problem. So until it was a private initiative of one businessman who brought a small technology, and now he's producing a biofertilizer using wool. But for many than 1 decade, sheep wool in here turned to be a huge problem and used zero economically or effectively, or just was environment important. Just one example.
Yeah. Thank you. Didn't know that.
Do you know if you have any other questions? Let me check from chat box. Yeah, we have some message that thanking you about your great presentation, like Brunelda, like your colleagues from ministry, and Armeni. I think I may read the name wrongly. Arsim, pardon, Arsim. They're all thanking you. And
thank you.
Can we summarize this? Like, there is a climate change, and we have to combat with this climate change. The actions you take, I mean, the climate smart agriculture or shipping husbandry is not solution for combating with this climate change, but it is a part of the solution.
It's a part of the solution. Absolutely. It's a best summary. So I called it as just part of the segment, contributing in some cases indirectly, some cases directly, to overall thought of how to progress, how to strengthen, how to put together and keep together in a positive way livelihoods and maintain areas interesting and productive for the society. So not only in the case of one country, but I think all over. I know that different countries they face different obstacles, or they have different perspectives. Some countries they have well-established policies. As I mentioned already, that developing countries like Kosovo, they are taking seriously on the developing policies this European approach, how to attractively support agriculture production, but the mountains and climate issues are much more than agriculture activity or agriculture issue. It's a multidisciplinary and multilaterally aspects of how to deal with that.
Natalie says, thank you very much for your great presentation, Hussein. If I can support regarding finding users for wool, creative value chains, create short supply chains, just contact her.
Thank you. I want to thank very much first all of you, although I'm still with you if someone has to any question or discussion. But it's very important for me to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of the project. Secondly, together with you, to raise some initiatives in terms of how to support this kind of big, let's say, live initiatives during the project live. I want to thank you, Antonia, Murat, Zoran, others, Bruna, Mirela, others that they were present. I do work since a long time with Natalie on a sheep production side, and Safe Foundation, which is an organization from Switzerland, since 10 years, in more or less, sometimes more intensively, sometimes in a small initiatives supporting sheep conservation and sheep production in Kosovo. Colleagues from the Ministry of Education who are very supportive to me, and let's see together if we could provide something good for the whole segment of production and the whole initiative.
Mirela is also thanking you, our working group 1 leader. And also, what I'm surprised, almost it has been 1 hour. There are still 14 people here waiting us.
Okay,
really
good.
surprising.
Good.
Yeah.
It means thank you.
Are there any other questions or addings? I think we are close to finish. Do you have something to add, Hussein, after we finish? Or before we finish, pardon me?
No, actually, I really I don't want to repeat again. I'm very grateful to give an opportunity to talk to you and discuss to you. I'm not seeing this as a giving a presentation, as just as some inputs for us to discuss during the project live and during the cooperation. We will continue cooperation
Yes,
during the project as well. So
thank you. Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure.
So thank all of you for joining our presentation from Hussein Butiki from University of Pristina.